Recording in progress.
Okay, welcome everyone. It is December 12th, 2023. It is 2 o'clock and it's our regular legislative meeting agenda. This is our last one before the holidays, so I would just want to wish Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everybody who is out there. And then we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if everyone would please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So next on our agenda, we have received, I just want to say for our open public forum, it's for anything that is not on our agenda today. We have received some written comments on our agenda, which all the commissioners have received, so thank you for those written comments. But we will start with our open public forum, which is for anyone who wants to testify on anything that is not on our agenda. So first call for anyone wishing to testify. Seeing none. Second call. I'm not seeing anyone online or anyone in the audience. So third and final call for anyone wishing to testify on any items that are not on our agenda today. Okay, with that, then I will close our open public forum and we'll go to our proclamations.
Madam Chair, I would like to read this proclamation in the form of a motion. Whereas Mount Spokane High School is a member of the Greater Spokane League and a member of the Washington Interscholastic Athletic Association, and whereas on October 28, 2023, at the Gateway Sports Complex in Yakima, the Mount Spokane High School girls slow pitch softball team won the 3A-2A Washington State Slow Pitch Championship under the leadership of coaches Carl Adams, Alex Sherman, Amber Helbling, and Trek Davis. And whereas their victory returns the state championship trophy to Mount Spokane High School, where it last resided in 2019. And whereas 15 Wildcats, Casey J., Ainsley Buchanan, Callie Keller, Peyton Bischoff, Lily Main, Sloan Gardner, Mackenzie Morris, Quincy Sherman, Addison J., Riley Kincaid, Ivy Westerman, Caden Bradeen, Maddie Welty, Emmy Bond, and Avery Fox each contributed to the team's success. And whereas Mount Spokane High School strives for excellence in all it does, the girls' fast pitch and slow pitch softball teams consistently perform exceptionally well in the classroom as well as in sports. Now, therefore, we, the Board of County Commissioners of Spokane County, Washington, on behalf of the citizens of Spokane County, do hereby recognize the extraordinary talent showcased by all the Mount Spokane High School staff, students, coaches, and athletes, and proclaim December 15th, 2023 as Mount Spokane Girls Slow Pitch Softball State Champions Day. Dated this 12th day of December 2023, signed the Board of County Commissioners of Spokane County, Washington.
Second.
Awesome. So I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I just want to say congratulations as an alumni of Mount Spokane High School, class of 2003. It is my honor to have read this proclamation, and just congratulations on all of your hard work.
Commissioner Jordan.
I just wanted to second Commissioner Kearns' comments. Commissioner French beat me to the second there. Just wanted to congratulate all the team on the hard work. I apologize I can't be with you there today, but what a wonderful accomplishment. The board knows that I'm a big baseball fan, and so one of the things I love about baseball and softball is that you can have the world's greatest hitter batting cleanup in your lineup, but if you don't have the other spots in the lineup filled out, great teamwork with pitching, fielding, and hitting, great coaching, supporting each other, then you're not going to win. So I think the fact that you guys made it all the way to where you made it and won is a testament to your teamwork, your hard work and dedication. So congratulations, and thanks for making us proud to be Wildcats.
Thank you. So we'll take a vote, and then I don't know if the coach wants to come down and speak for minutes. So all those in favor of the proclamation, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. So I want to give you guys an opportunity to come down, and then we do want to get a picture of all the team up here on the dais. So, but we'll give you a chance to speak first, and then we'll come down.
Thank you, Commissioner Kearns, for reading that for us. On behalf of our principal, Chelsea Gallagher, our athletic director, Bobby Lee, our players who could be here today, our staff at the high school, our parent group who was incredibly supportive, and our coaches who, again, couldn't be here today, we want to thank the Board of Commissioners for this special recognition. This is certainly unexpected, but certainly well received, so thank you. I'd like to have our players who are here just come up, first and last name, okay, to say hi? Okay.
Yes,
Come on up, you
please.
guys.
And position.
Callie Keller, pitcher.
Cassie J, first baseman.
Addison J, outfield.
Quincy Sherman, third baseman.
Avery Fox, pitcher.
Okay, and then we're going to have you guys come back up for a picture, so don't sit down.
Caden Bradeen, right field.
Riley Kincaid, left center.
Ivy Westerman, left field.
Mackenzie Morris, second base.
Ainsley Buchanan, outfield.
Peyton Bischoff, catcher.
And we did have a couple who are gone today, but that's everybody. And thank you again to the board for this special recognition. Appreciate it.
Would you like to say the names of the teammates that aren't
Yeah,
here?
let's do that. So Emmy Bond couldn't be here. She played outfield. Sloan Gardner was a pitcher for us. Couldn't be here. Lily Main played shortstop for us. And Maddie Welty played outfield for us. So again, thank you to you all.
Awesome. Thank you. I think we want to go ahead and get a picture with the team and present the proclamation. Okay, so then next we have one more proclamation today from the same school district, but not the same high school. So I believe, Commissioner Jordan, you're going to be stating that proclamation for us.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm happy to read this motion in the form, or the proclamation in the form of a motion. And it goes like this. Whereas Meade High School is a member of the Greater Spokane League, GSL, and a member of the Washington Interscholastic Activities Association. And whereas on November 18th, 2023 at the Yakima Valley Sun Dome, the Meade High School girls volleyball team won the 3A Washington State Volleyball Championship under the leadership of head coach Sean Wilson. Whereas their victory returns the state championship trophy to Meade High School and represents their second state title in 3 years. And it should be noted that this is their 9th state title overall. And whereas 14 Panthers, Gabby Reich, Maya Cassell, Olivia Paul, Elena Smeltzer, Sophia Mark, Adriana Spielman, Ava Durgan, Janae DeMont, Romy Tyler, Mac Walton, Lorna Sebley, Brielle Wilson, Malia Cassell, and Mercedes Gilroy each contributed to the team's success. And whereas Meade High School strives for excellence and the girls volleyball team consistently performs exceptionally well in the classroom as well as in sports. Now, therefore, we, the Board of County Commissioners of Spokane County, Washington, on behalf of the citizens of Spokane County, do hereby recognize the extraordinary talent showcased by all the Meade High School staff, students, coaches, and athletes, and proclaim December 15th, 2023 as Meade High School Girls Volleyball State Champions Day. Meade High School, and is dated this 12th day of December 2023, Board of County Commissioners of Spokane County, Washington.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Just as the proponent of this resolution, I just wanted to congratulate the team. It's just an amazing accomplishment to go all the way to sports. Volleyball is not my particular expertise, but I've become a bit of a fan watching when I was in college, and I was just amazed at the athleticism, the quick reactions that you have to have, the instant communication and teamwork. So it's an incredible accomplishment, so much hard work, and just want to say way to go to the team.
Okay, so once again, we'll have the coaches come down and the girls, and then we will take our vote. So all those in favor of this proclamation, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes unanimously. We'll let you say a few words, and then I think it's great to have the girls come up and say their names.
Sounds good. So we at Meade School District and Meade High School would like to thank you for the recognition for the students who are participating in those extracurricular and sporting activities. The amount of hard work and dedication that they put in both in the classroom and in the sports arena makes them very well deserving of this, and we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Adriana Spielman, outside hitter.
Mercedes Gilroy, middle hitter.
Ava Durgan, middle blocker.
Mac Walton, middle blocker.
Brielle Wilson, setter.
Lorna Selby, middle blocker.
Malia Castle, defensive specialist. Romy Tyler, pin hitter.
Sophia Mark, outside.
Maya Castle, setter.
Elena Smeltzer, pin hitter.
Janae DeMont, pin hitter.
Okay, and then we have two players missing today, Gabby Rich and Olivia Paul. Olivia Paul's a libero, and Gabby is also a DS libero.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. So then I think we'll do the same thing with a photo, have you guys come down and have the team up here, and we'll come down and present the trophy or the proclamation. Okay, so I know that some of you need to get back to school. So at this point, our proclamation section is over, and so you're welcome to go if you'd like to. Do not worry if you can stay as long as you want, and do not worry if you need to get out while we're doing other business. So just based on your schedule, we want to make sure you're aware that you're welcome to leave, but it's not going to be seen as being rude. We completely understand. There we go.
As quick as they can.
Yeah.
This is really
Absolutely. Thanks for coming down.
Thank you.
See ya.
for Chris to be a Mariner fan. This is really unique to be surrounded by winners.
Yeah.
Ouch. Ouch.
Let's see. Okay, and then, so with that, that takes us to the rest of our agenda. Are there any items that any commissioners would like to take separately?
Madam Chair, I think we are going to take 4A separately. I have motions for.
I think that's part of the public hearing. No.
So let's consider the
Oh,
recommendation.
there we go.
it's not a
Okay,
hearing.
sorry.
Up or down.
Okay, so no other items then. Commissioner Jordan.
Not on the consent agenda, Madam Chair. Can I just clarify, by leave items or miscellaneous, would those be at the end? I can't recall if we add them into the consent agenda or how that works.
Yes, the by leave items will be at the end because we'll have to do an open public hearing on them. I will let people know that by leave item number 8, we do not need to take as a resolution because that our schedule is in code, and so if we differ from that, then we notify that. So that will so by leave item number 8, I would say we're going to strike from today's agenda, and it will be posted as our normal meeting schedule. And then if there's any changes to that, it's identified as a special meeting.
And did you say 4A was being taken separately?
Yes, 4A is going to be taken separately.
Thank you.
Okay. So let me get to that piece. Okay. So, oh, okay. So that takes us to item number 4A on today's agenda, which is to consideration of the Spokane County Planning Commission's recommendation for 2023 amendments to the Spokane County Comprehensive Plan. I believe Jessica Pilgrim is going to speak to that, and Scott Chesney.
Commissioners, happy to be here again. Today's action is the culmination of the year-long activity for the comprehensive plan amendments. They have been briefed before you. You have the Planning Commission's recommendations. I understand our legal counsel has crafted a series of motions based on the different actions being taken, and we're certainly happy to take any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Chesney? Not seeing any. Oh, Commissioner Jordan?
It might make more sense. I have some questions on one of them, but I might wait until we get to that particular one to ask the questions. Just wanted to flag that.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I move that we continue for further consideration in next year's cycle amendment files CPA 0222, 1223, 1523, and 1723, and that we adopt amendment files CPA 0523, 0623, and 1123.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second for those items as we just heard. Is there any further discussion on those? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion, any opposed? Okay. Motion passes unanimously.
Madam Chair, I move that we adopt amendment files CPA 0723 and 0823.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt amendment files CPA 0723 and 0823. Any further discussion? Commissioner Jordan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to actually move to amend the motion to defer CPA 0723 and CPA 0823 to the 2026 comprehensive plan cycle.
Second.
Okay, I have an amendment to defer to the 2026 comp plan cycle, CPA 0723 and 0823. Any further discussion? Commissioner Jordan?
Thank you. And you can hear me okay, Madam Chair?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay. I just wanted to speak to this motion for a few minutes. And I, first of all, wanted to thank the board for the unanimous vote on the 3 amendments that we just passed. These map changes will allow up to 242 units of new housing in the county. I'm particularly appreciative of the Country Homes Christian Church Disciples of Christ, which, as I understand it, plans to provide some senior housing on part of its property at Country Homes and North Wall. So I'm pleased to support that amendment. I did want to speak to 7 and 8. These are 2 amendments that I would like to be able to support. I just don't believe that they are ready to move forward yet due to a lack of collaboration and joint planning with the city of Spokane. But I wanted to briefly back up to the bigger picture a bit. Each of us, I think, as the board, acknowledges the need for more affordable housing choices in our region, particularly for lower income and middle class people. And I think over the past year, we've actually worked well together on this topic. And just one example is that we, as a board, supported legislation to expand home ownership by boosting condominium construction. And we've urged the legislature to do more on this year in that regard. We're investing in affordable housing projects using American Rescue Plan and local dollars. And as the board knows, the amendments that we're looking at, these are requests to change zoning of individual properties. They're usually driven by a developer or property owner by request. And it's my first time going through this exercise this year, but it feels a bit like looking at 2 or 3 puzzle pieces in a 500-piece puzzle, which is the overall housing and growth for the entire county. And they do matter. But I just want to say, I think the comprehensive plan update, which is completed every decade and is due in 2026, is the real opportunity that we have to create a region-wide vision for how we want to grow Spokane in the future. And that process will involve engaging the entire accommodate the next 20 years of growth. And I really think that if we do it right, that 26 update can be a chance to bring together cities, businesses, community groups, and neighborhoods to decide how we want to grow smartly, both to accommodate the housing for working families that we need, and also to decide how we're going to pay for the infrastructure and services that support quality of life. And so I'm very glad that this board has tripled the planning department's capacity to take on that important project with 4 new long-range planners. So I thank the board for that. In my view, active collaboration and joint planning with the city and other service providers will be a key ingredient for success as we move into 26. And I'm grateful to Ms. Pilgrim, Mr. Chesney. I think we are making progress as we head to 26 in that regard. However, that issue is where these two amendments for me this year fall short. And I was looking at these properties online, and I think it's useful, if there's no objection, just to share a few images of kind of the area. And so I did prepare a very short PowerPoint that I would just ask Ron to pull up on the screen, just so members of the public can see kind of what we're talking about. And many of these images will be familiar to the board, as we've already seen these or similar images from staff. So as you can see, the first request is to allow a medium density residential zone on the West Plains in the Grandview Thorpe urban growth area. And next slide, please, Ron. And as we've heard, the property is on City of Spokane water and sewer, but it's primarily surrounded by multi-acre single-family homes and even some family farms. Next slide, please. I just wanted to point out one of the challenges that I see for this type of relatively intense development in an area that could otherwise be mistaken as rural for a layperson like me. And this image is another MDR facility in the area. And you can see that where the sidewalk covers only the apartment complex, and then it suddenly ends while the road continues on several miles towards Cheney schools. And so one concern I have is that there's just no obvious safe way in this area for kids to walk around and walk to school, which does concern me. Next slide, please. Another concern I have is that road connectivity and transit access appears to be challenging in the area. This just shows kind of the 25 to 30-minute walk from this property to the nearest bus stop. If you were working in the City of Spokane, you'd walk about that far to get to the bus currently. Next slide, please, Ron. And this is just a Google Images picture of the road that you would currently have to walk on to get to the bus stop. It actually goes across I-90 up by the Finch Arboretum. And it just seems to be challenging for pedestrians when we're talking about a fairly dense multifamily development that the code generally says should have access to services. Next slide, please. And then this is just a shot of CPA 823, which we've seen as the board, just to give context that it's in a similar area that I believe needs some cooperative effort between the city and county to plan for infrastructure and services. And Ron, you can end the PowerPoint. That's all I have there, just to show some images. And I just wanted to close my comments on this item by, first of all, reading a comment that the county received from the City of Spokane when looking at these amendments. It says, quote, "The City of Spokane would like to reiterate our request that the city and county complete a joint planning effort for the West Plains to understand and accommodate these repeated proposals for land use and zoning changes in the City of Spokane's retail water service and wastewater service areas. This is at least the third year running with multiple changes in the Thorpe Grandview UGA south of I-90 without coordinated planning in this area. It is difficult for any service provider like the City of Spokane to understand the cumulative impact and long-term ramifications and to adjust capital facilities planning for this area. Accordingly, as stated in the February 21 letter, the city recommends that the county postpone these applications to allow for joint planning as outlined in the city and county joint planning agreement," end quote. So that's from the city. And I just wanted to note as well for the record that we also received a letter from Chief Johnson at Fire District 10 stating some concerns that the fire station that serves this area is too small to serve it in the future. And he said it is only staffed, quote, about 50% of the time. So there's a fire safety concern. And we also received a letter from Cheney School District, which would serve this area or does serve this area, saying that Windsor Elementary is at 100% of building capacity as they look at capacity, and the schools are under stress. And they noted, and this is a quote from them, quote, ensuring safe walking and biking routes along with service from public transportation is critical within our district boundaries as continued development takes place, end quote. So I believe that this area is ripe for growth, but we need to do our homework, partnering with the city and others to create a safe, viable plan for infrastructure and services in this area. To me, this is my vote is not really about being pro or anti-housing. It's about wanting growth to occur in a safe, affordable, responsible manner. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or question or discussion? Commissioner Waldron.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I share some of the same concerns as Councilmember Jordan, and so I will speak in favor of the motion to defer to 2026. First thing I think I sat down and met with our planning director about was this part of the county and this part of the UGA, and the need to sit down and do joint planning with the city because there's a lot of opportunity for denser development, and we want to do it right. We want to make sure there's water. We want to make sure there's sewer. We want to make sure we have the plans in place for proper roads and sidewalks and access to, if it is an appropriate place, you know, for denser development, you would want adequate transit and other services. So we met about that, and I know that there's been a lot going on, and the city's got a lot going on with trying to maximize development within the city. But I'm concerned about making spot zoning decisions when we could really do a plan over the next couple of years to develop this area with a lot more housing than what we're talking about in these two comp plan amendments, with the proper infrastructure, the connectivity, the school capacity, and the fire service capacity. So I will support the motion to defer this so we can do that appropriate planning and hopefully support growth in this area in the near future. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay, so we have a motion and a second to amend, to defer to 2026 the comp plan cycle CPA 0723 and 0823. All those in favor of the amended motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Nay. Motion does not carry. That takes us back to the original motion that we adopt amendment files CPA-07-02 and CPA 07-23 and 0823. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, motion carries 3-2.
Madam Chair, I move that we affirm CPA 0416.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to affirm CPA 0416. Any further discussion? Commissioner Jordan?
I just have a question. I'm wondering if there's any intent from staff or from the prosecutor's office to speak to any of the concerns that have come up throughout the process on this, or is that not the intent for today's hearing or meeting?
I can certainly speak to some of those just so that we address some of the issues that have been raised recently by comments submitted, although untimely, for the record. So one thing to point out just procedurally, I think for the record, is there appears to be some confusion among the public of what the procedural posture of this case is. So CPA 0416 was previously approved by the board in 2019, and it was appealed to the Growth Management Hearings Board. The Growth Management Hearings Board invalidated it and remanded it to the county. Under the Growth Management Act, invalidation is not the same as voiding something. What invalidation does is it prevents any developers from vesting to the amendment at the time. But the Growth Management Act basically says that if the county is directed to take additional actions to become compliant, and that's what we've done on remand. So we've done numerous things to become compliant in accordance with the Growth Management Hearings Board order. Part of that is adopting a new capital facilities plan, and then the other part is supplementing the record to address things that the Growth Management Hearings Board said was not appropriately addressed. We've done that in this case. So there was some confusion that maybe that the Growth Management Hearings Board had to lift an invalidation for the board to take action, but actually the opposite is true. The way that the Growth Management Act reads is we take action and then we make a motion to the board to lift the invalidity, and then we have to prove, we bear the burden of proving that it's no longer invalid or doesn't interfere with the Growth Management Act. So just for procedural purposes, there's no problem with moving forward and affirming, but that's why this would be an affirmation of an earlier amendment and not a new amendment. So also there were some confusion on the SEPA posture. The SEPA in this case was actually done in 2017. It was appealed to the hearing examiner. The hearing examiner made some additional recommendations, and so there was actually a new MDNS issued in 2017 that incorporated those new findings. And just to be clear, that MDNS put a cap on the amount of development. So the cap is at 300 units, and that's per the SEPA. And of course, there's the additional layer that you have to have a second access that cannot be on 5 Mile. And we're not talking emergency access, that also has to be there, but there has to be a second actual access before the 100th unit can be built. So those are all a part of both the SEPA, and also there was a previous stipulation that there had to be a development agreement on that, and that remains with all of this. So that's all still on there. Additionally, there seems to be some confusion that if a comprehensive plan amendment is proposed in a like a critical aquifer recharge area or a habitat area, that maybe it can't go forward. That's not true. If there is something that's in a critical area, then it has to comply with the critical area ordinance, but that does not happen until the project stage, and that's just a function of the way both the GMA works. Some things are taken on at this stage, some things are taken on later. So CPA 1604 or 0416 is in a critical area, but it will be, that doesn't preclude it from being affirmed. It just means it will have to comply with the CAO when that comes around, and that may include a habitat management plan. It just depends at that stage. Make sure I didn't miss anything else. This is not in a geohazard area. I think that was also a misunderstanding. So this, although it is in a habitat area, it's not in a geohazard area, and that's also reflected in our findings of fact. And other than that, I'm open to any questions that were specifically raised, but I think I hit a lot of the high points.
Mr. Chesney, I'm going to let you go first, and then I'll go to Commissioner Jordan.
One of the other concerns that was made early on was the appropriateness of multifamily project in a traditional single-family detached area. That's a fairly common transition over time. There have been a number of amendments that have used that. It's also a fairly, it's in the county's comprehensive plan for small or medium density unit or projects to incorporate within single-family neighborhoods to provide an extra level of housing affordability and context in those neighborhoods. So putting this in a neighborhood like this is completely consistent with the comprehensive plan. And as we've noted, and there was also maybe some confusion over whether this was college housing for Whitworth. There's no intention, there's no statement of that, but having a big employer and a big user across the street from a multifamily project provides a chance for housing that could either be employees or it could be students, could be faculty, but it's a nexus that makes good sense from a market perspective. And then lastly, as Commissioner French certainly understands, the complications of building single-family detached housing in and around this power line corridor have Other complications that were proposed a number of years ago, a 50-unit complex was proposed. It just didn't pencil out for the developer. Whereas multifamily, being commercial construction, has different construction techniques that can be used to mitigate those kinds of processes that single-family construction just doesn't use. So from that perspective alone, development of this site would be unlikely to occur except in a multifamily configuration.
Okay, Commissioner Jordan.
Just a couple pieces. So would we decide at this stage where the second access point would be if it went above 99 units? I thought that it was effectively going to remain no more than 99. I just appreciate some clarity on that, because as I understand it, the map change in the absence of context could be construed as 300 or up to 300 units. So could you help me with that piece? Yes, of course. The previous action of the board in 2017 would be affirmed in this decision, and that limited to a total of 300 units, but a total of 99 without a second legal access. That legal access, also by the board, cannot be on 5 Mile Road. And so it's quite a challenge, and I think there's a practical side that 99 units is very likely could be the permanent density of that site. And I guess to be clear, as Council mentioned as well, emergency access is available potentially on 5 Mile using the existing Avista easement and gate, but that would not be allowed to be a second access for normal day-to-day use.
Commissioner Jordan.
Can someone speak to, when I was reviewing the findings of fact that we're being asked to adopt, I believe I saw some reference to UL.2.16, and I was curious if that relates to traffic. I know I've certainly heard from constituents about desire for a traffic study. So if you could speak to, where concern for traffic fits in, because I also saw that the Public Works Department hadn't requested any specific mitigations at this stage. That's my understanding, but there could be steps taken at the project stage. So I would appreciate some further clarification on those pieces.
The detailed study of trips and transportation would be done when there is a building permit submitted. And the reason for that is typically then you have the exact dimensions and parameters by which you can make that judgment. At the planning stages for projects of this size, trip generation letters often provide that basic guidance. And in this case, our transportation department folks are planning an improvement on Waikiki Road at least it's in the 2027 6-year plan. And so there are some pending improvements on there, but in terms of details for that would come at the project level.
And I would note that that's also a function of both the GMA and RCW 3670B. So the GMA just says that we have to adopt a mechanism for concurrency, and the mechanism that Spokane County has adopted is twofold: whether something has to be indirect, meaning we have to show concurrency at the planning stage, or direct concurrency, meaning we show it at the project stage. And Spokane County has adopted our road standards require concurrency at the project stage. So that's why we will do a more in-depth study of the traffic flow and what have you in the studies once there's a project. It also makes sense just practically speaking, because sometimes there can be a very large gap between when you do these land use changes, right, and then when actual project comes along. So imposing them at this stage makes less sense than later when the actual project's going through and the impacts are being realized and other projects may have preceded them. So for example, in this case, we have the Greenstone project also going in up in that area. So depending on who develops what first, there may be a different level of impact and need.
And Ms. Pilgrim, can you help me understand the UL.2.16 issue?
Sure. UL216 requires nearness to open spaces, nearness to commercial areas, and good access to major arterials. And we've addressed that fairly thoroughly. So there's a number of different open spaces that have been identified within 1 mile. Several of those open spaces in the record have sidewalks that are provided all the way to them, including the Waikiki switchbacks and some of the natural areas in the area. There's also sidewalks provided all of the way to the elementary school that I'm forgetting the name of, that is to the northeast of the site. That's the closest one there. And then the good access to major arterials, Waikiki fronts the area. It's the largest classification of an urban arterial. It has 3 lanes, including a center lane and sidewalks on either side. And it also connects to Mill Road, which also has sidewalks on either side and a turn lane. So it has good access to major arterials. Additionally, one of the comments suggested that maybe there needed to be good access to more than one major arterial. That is not so. In fact, if we required such a thing, we'd probably have next to no MDR or HDR. So the medium density and high density have to conform with the 216. And I should also qualify that. They don't have to conform necessarily. That UL 216 asks that the county encourage those things, but does not actually mandate it. But in this case, I believe all 3 are met. And additionally, with the 3 different commercial areas, you have the one up north in Wandermere, you have the one closer on, there's one on Highway 2, and then also one on 395, all 3 of which are within 2 miles, and one of which is within, or 2 are within 1 mile. All of those provide tons of jobs and services, from grocery stores to full-service restaurants, nail salons, several banks. Virtually every branch of bank is in one of those areas. Gas stations, veterinary clinics, Starbucks, all of those things provide a lot of jobs. It may not be the jobs that some people are thinking as far as office jobs, but they're important jobs, especially for people who might be in high density or medium density residential.
And are we allowed to use city parks as part of the analysis for open nearness to open spaces? Can you help me understand that?
Yeah. Yes, we do. From the user's perspective, unless there's a private open space with a fence, it's available for public use, whether it's owned by the city or county. So we count all of them.
Commissioner.
If it's okay, Madam Chair, I'll just keep going.
Please go ahead.
So I understand that roads would be considered at the project stage. Why do we indicate in the file then that Public Works didn't request any additional mitigations at this stage? What scenarios would cause a Public Works analysis at this map stage?
Sure, I can answer that one. It gets a little confusing at this stage because what you're seeing is we're required under SEPA to evaluate both project and non-project actions using SEPA. And SEPA requires us to evaluate the environment. And the environment means both the built environment and the natural environment. And when you do a project, a non-project action like this, you have to consider what basically the highest and best maximum use is for that future designation. So in this case, MDR, we look at the absolute highest density use that we can get unless it's mitigated in some way. As in here, it's 300 limited because of our caveat on the resolution. So through SEPA, we actually circulate the checklist, the environmental checklist, based on the future land use to all of the departments, and the departments often give comments. Sometimes they'll give early comments, which I believe in this case, the department said there may be a need for, future studies and what have you for this project at the project stage. Sometimes you'll get, as in the case of 0222, you'll get a lot of like DOT saying these are the different mitigations that if this were passed today that we would require. And sometimes we impose those in an MD&S and sometimes we do not. But they're not a GMA requirement. The GMA just requires, and our comprehensive plan and our development regulations require that the concurrency that's required, which is different than SEPA mitigation, is is required at the project stage. So SEPA contemplates what will you need in the future to mitigate this so it doesn't impact the roads. And sometimes we include roads and sometimes we don't. But the failure to include roads at this stage is not, it does not violate SEPA. It's just we've contemplated it and we know that we have a development regulation that's going to catch that in the future, so it won't violate SEPA or our LOS.
Another issue, thank you, Madam Chair. Can you speak to stormwater runoff? Is that analyzed at the project stage as well? Curious to know about whether there would be a study done, et cetera, down the road potentially.
Yeah, yes. Stormwater management is also a project level function. And that's, again, that's chiefly because until you see how much impervious surface is going to be created on an area that is challenging for stormwater, you can't really do the calculations. So one of our requirements in our development regs is this project and all projects that trigger certain areas, and this is in a stormwater management area, will have to comply with and create.
Commissioner Waldron.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I just had a quick follow-up on the traffic study question that Commissioner Jordan had. So what you're saying is in our county planning policies, we don't require a traffic study with a comp plan amendment.
That's correct. That's not a GMA or a building regulation. That's a function of SEPA. That's why we circulate it and get comments.
So it is part of SEPA.
SEPA generally discusses just the built and unbuilt environment. So we circulate it to all utilities and say, hey, what's the future look like here? And then they can make comments and we can either impose those at this stage or at the future. SEPA is really just asking us to take a really good look at what the ultimate impact of this will be. And in part of that, we look at, do we also have a development regulation that would prohibit impacts to the built environment? So you can contemplate both. You can do a study now, or you can say, do I have a development regulation that requires me to do that later that will prohibit an impact to the built environment? So that's what we've done. Ours just has the development regulation just requires it to be analyzed later.
Okay, thank you. I just
let me add
trying to make
that.
sure I understand all the, since I'm new, the county's
Add to
policies.
it a little bit. The levels of traffic study vary depending on the size, scale, scope of the project and where it's located. So on projects from the West Plains, for example, they're moving from light industrial to residential. The roads could still be farm roads out there. Those will generally require a trip generation letter at the very least, just a projection of units and what those trips will be. Like Amendment 22-2, in its first go-around, 108 acres, that pushed over another hurdle and generated a need for a traffic impact analysis, which is a much more detailed assessment of traffic, again, based on nothing more than a concept. But there are those levels. And in the case of this one on Waikiki Road, it's already in the built environment. The roads are there, they're fully developed. And so there's a different look at it. It's like, is this going to make an intersection fail that's over here? And the example would be, at least in the initial part of Greenstone's Meadworks project, they had a mitigation to improve the interchange at Country Homes Road and Wall. And that's a 1.5 miles or more from their project, but the impacts hitting that intersection at peak hours would be coming from that project. So it's looked at differently when it's in the built environment itself or when the fully built urban environment rather than on the edge of it where the roads are clearly substandard at the start of the project.
So what would it be fair to say, Ms. Pilgrim, what you were saying was once this developer, whoever owns this property would want to develop it, and however many units that would be and how many trips generated, then you would do the study around what would be needed to accommodate that, or if it can accommodate Waikiki, what improvements might be needed to accommodate. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's more the question of what improvements would be necessary to accommodate it, because of course, we can't approve a development, and this is in our development regulations too, that basically say we can't issue a certificate of occupancy if the approval would cause our level of service to fall below our set standard, unless we have either a fix or a financial contribution planned at that time or within 6 years afterwards. So whatever the built environment is, by the time that they undertake the planned action, they will probably have to do a study. They will most certainly have to do some sort of a traffic counter study. And then depending on what the current LOS of the road is and the current standards, they may have to add additional improvements. And of course, we'll have to take under consideration at that time too the 2027 improvement that's planned for the roundabout and other things there, or other improvements that we've done in the interim. So that's my very long way of saying yes. Also, we do run these by SRTC to see that they're in line with their long-range vision, and all of these went through the SRTC process and said that they're either are in line with or have been anticipated, or they will align with.
Any further discussion? So I just want to confirm. I will confirm first,
Go
Commissioner
ahead.
Jordan, that this has all been through the Planning Commission. It was recommended from them to affirm it and move it forward.
Correct. Yes.
And that's where the public hearings and all of that happen is at that stage.
Yes, we took, there were multiple workshops, and we had a public hearing in front of the Planning Commission and considered both written and oral comments. It was also held by Zoom, and some folks Zoomed in and did make comments on this matter as well, yes.
Thank you. Commissioner Jordan.
I think that might be all my questions.
Thank you. Okay, so I have a motion and a second on the floor to move Commissioner French, sorry. I kept looking that way.
Yeah, not a problem. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time commenting on this project. This project has come before us a number of times, and the failure of the project has really been more, in my opinion, on the county in terms of not having all of our homework done, as opposed to the project and the applicant and stuff. And so I think we've spent an awful lot of time, energy, and effort to improve our documents in terms of clarity and stuff, so that we've addressed some of the issues that have been raised here today. But I think more importantly, and what I would like to request of the board for 2024 is that I think it would be very helpful if we could have a half-day or one-day workshop on what it takes to get a project developed in Spokane County. What is the process to go through a comp plan change? What is the process to go through the zoning change? What's the process to do a SEPA application, both from a preliminary standpoint as well as a project standpoint? Because there's clearly a lack of understanding about the different steps involved in the process, and where is the appropriate time for comment in that process to be most constructive and stuff. So I'd like to just put that on the radar for the first part of next year to be able to get that common understanding about what the process is. If you haven't been through it, I can understand why you've got a lot of questions, but maybe that's something, an opportunity for us to be all on the same page as we're looking forward to 2026. So thank you.
We are happy to do it. We'll get one ready.
Thank you. So I have a motion and a second on the floor that we affirm CPA 04016, or 0416. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? I think I heard all ayes. Seeing none opposed, the motion carries. Passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, so then we have I will look to my fellow commissioners for item number 5.
Madam Chair, I move to approve item number 5 and all sub-items, which are A through DD.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for item number 5 and all sub-items on today's agenda. Any further discussion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to make a comment about item, let's see, 5K, and that is the investment of dollars into Maddie's Place. And it's a facility that's fairly unique. There's only 3 of them in the United States, supporting families with babies that have been born with exposure to substances. And it's an alternative approach to having the babies go through withdrawal in a way that doesn't require, doesn't normally require medication or pharmaceuticals. And it's a really amazing organization, and I highlight it this week on the County Spotlight. So check it out this weekend. It'll be playing on KSPS. I get to interview the founder and also Justin from our behavioral services director, who's worked really hard to find funding. So I'm happy that the county can support this wonderful organization. So just want to make that comment.
Commissioner French.
Yeah, I will echo the comments of Commissioner Waldron. I've had the opportunity to go through the facility a couple times, and they do incredible work. And it's very heartwarming to see not only the staff, but also the volunteers that help these newborns enter this world. And so I'm very happy to support this funding allocation, and hope that as more people become aware of Maddie's House and the great work they're doing, that they will also be the recipient of the good graces of this community and financial support for the mission that they have undertaken. Thank you.
Yeah, I will just echo what the other commissioners have said. I mean, it's definitely been, once you go there and you see what is happening, it's so important, for these babies, through no fault of their own, to come into this world, that are addicted to drugs. And this place really does a unique service for those babies. And so, yes, it's definitely a pleasure that we all get to support that. Anything else? And
I'll jump in and sing Maddie's Place's praises too. My wife and I went and took a tour there a couple weeks ago. Just incredible, and I'd encourage anybody out there that isn't familiar with it to get in contact, learn about it. I mean, if you ever meet somebody or somebody that might need those services, I mean, it's just an incredible place. They're doing amazing work. So please look into a Maddie's Place. They're up on the South Hill. Just an amazing organization.
Okay. I have a motion and a second for item 5A through DD on today's agenda. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. That takes us to, we have 3 public hearing items today. So 6A, in the matter of the Newman Lake Flood Control Zone District 2024 assessment roll. Looks like we have Ben Bradabo to speak to that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate the chance today to come to you to present the Newman Lake Flood Control Zone District assessment rolls to fund operations next year. And then public hearing following. So this is just a summary slide of the topic today. So our budget was approved by the board earlier this year. It's not an increase. It remains the same from the previous year, which then results in the assessments staying generally the same because we're collecting the same amount of money. There's 1,766 parcels within the district. Not all of them receive a benefit from the district, so they don't all pay an assessment. And so there's 775 that will pay an assessment. It shows the range here. They're based upon the benefit that the property receives, both either as a flood control or water quality, and some receive both benefits. And so then that is put into an equation to calculate the benefit that they receive, and each receive their assessments. in those categories. And then the other item here that we've talked with you about before is this undeveloped parcels are found to be exempt from assessments from the district, and so we are in the process of making repayments for the last 3 years, which totals about $1,100 back to those properties, and those would come out of the district funds. The resolution was set the public hearing on November 7th, and then today is the public hearing, and I'm available for any questions.
Are there any questions? I'm not seeing any questions. So this is a public hearing item, so I will open up for public testimony on item number 6A, which is the Newman Lake Flood Control Zone District 2024 Assessment Roll. I'm not seeing anyone in the audience. Is there anyone online? Second call for anyone wishing to testify. Third and final call for anyone wishing to testify on item number 6A. Seeing none online and no one in the audience, I will close the public testimony and look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve public hearing item number 6A in the matter of the Newman Lake Flood Control District 2024 assessment roll.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for item number 6A. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. That will take us to item number 6B, which is another public hearing on today's agenda in the matter of amending Spokane County Code Chapter 8.03.8520, the sewer service fees. Thank you.
Thank you. Last month, the Wastewater Policy Advisory Board met and talked about all things wastewater, but one of the main items was the annual increase in monthly sewer service fees. And the proposal is a 50-cent increase to the operations and maintenance portion of the monthly bill, and also a 50-cent increase to the wastewater treatment plant charge portion of the bill. So the total increase for a typical single-family residence is $1 a month, and that's just over 2% increase that they would see in their bill. And just another interesting fact, we have right around, probably today, around 67,000 ERUs in our overall system. And so at 12 months, that's roughly 800,000 is what the increase in the revenues would be for this increase. And happy to answer any questions you have on that.
Thank you. Are there any questions? I'm not seeing any questions. Thank you. Okay, so this is a public hearing item, so I will open it up to public testimony on item number 6B in the matter of amending Spokane County Code Chapter 8.03.852 for the sewer service fees. Is there anyone in the audience? I'm not seeing anyone on the audience or anyone online. Second call for anyone wishing to testify on item number 6B. Third and final call for anyone wishing to testify on item number 6B. Seeing no one in the audience or no one online, I will close the open public testimony and look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, move to approve public hearing item number 6B in the matter of amending Spokane County Code Chapter 8.03.8520 sewer service fees.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Commissioner French.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Our wastewater treatment facility or water reclamation facility is a enterprise fund, which means it's separate from the general fund. And it basically is a self-sustaining entity to pay for operations and capital costs and stuff. So this is the result of an effort for the region to try and eliminate septic tanks over the Spokane-Rathdrum Prairie Aquifer, and to make sure that we've got clean drinking water, which is a lot better to drink than brown drinking water. And so the increase in fee here is to make sure that we can continue to operate this facility in the best way possible, and to continue to protect our sole source drinking water for the region and stuff. And so for that reason, that's one of the reasons why I'm going to support this motion. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Commissioner Jordan, did I hear an aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. That will then take us to item number 6C on today's agenda. I believe Tessa Sheldon is going to be coming down and giving us a presentation.
Wonderful. Thanks, Ron. Very quickly here, we have some budget amendments, kind of wrapping up 2023. We will have more next year, looking back kind of at this fourth quarter here. But these are mainly for the third quarter. So I'll start off with the general fund. We have $250,000 in additional revenue to purchase elections equipment. Item number 2, or B, is to transfer funds from general fund contingency to the Emergency Management Agency for some initial wildfire response costs in the Emergency Management Department. We will see another budget amendment in the future for the full scope of the fire disaster response. We next have, under the Sheriff's Office, additional revenue coming in to support the extra duty program. So that is when deputies work additional shifts, not as an overtime, but kind of in their law enforcement uniform. Out in the community, they will work a full shift, and then the county is paid to kind of process the payroll out to those deputies. Item number 4, or D, is $81,000 transfer from the general fund contingency to the prosecuting attorney's office for uncontrolled witness and interpretation costs that were higher than budgeted this year. And then the other funds, we have risk management, $2.7 million in fund balance we're appropriating for unanticipated settlements and premium increases in the 2023 year. All other items listed are various grants and contracts and awards that the Board of County Commissioners have already formally accepted. We are just amending the budget to reflect those increased funds.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion or any questions for Tessa? Sorry. Okay, this is a public hearing item, so I will open up testimony on item number 6C on today's agenda, which is the final hearing to consider the following budget appropriations that have been listed and are in your agenda. So first call for anyone wishing to testify. Second call for anyone wishing to testify on item 6C. Third and final call for anyone wishing to testify. And I am seeing no one in the audience or no one online. So I will close the public testimony for item 6C and look to my fellow commissioners.
Madam Chair, I move that we approve public hearing item number 6C, which is the final hearing to consider the following budget appropriations, which were presented by staff.
Second.
I have a motion and a second for 6C. Any further discussion? Commissioner French.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to call out two items in this motion. One is item C, B like in boy, and just want to acknowledge the fact that we've got staff here at the county that are constantly looking for ways to provide funding for not only our emergency management program that is the lead in the response to the Gray and Oregon fires, but also to help with mitigation and other avenues and stuff. So I just wanted to specifically call that out and say thank you to the staff that continues to work on assistance with those two fires. And then with regard to item D like in dog, this is $81,000 for translation services that are needed. And I just wanted to point out the fact that, you know, despite the fact that last week we did not fund $100,000 for a translation system, it's not that we are not in the business of providing translation services. We are in various departments. The cost for that is buried in the departments themselves, and we will continue to look for ways to improve wayfinding and services on the county. That's the work that the subcommittee is engaged in doing and stuff. So just wanted to acknowledge those two. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Okay, that is going to take us then to our by-leave item number 7, which is a resolution in the matter of the assignments to various boards and commissions for calendar year 2024 and the designation of alternative representatives. I don't know if we have a copy of that up.
So we were provided a copy. There is one correction here that we discussed earlier. It doesn't look like it made the final one. The State Building Code Council, Commissioner French is no longer on that, so we'll need to strike that one from the list. But perusing this one, that updated from this morning, I think that was the only correction.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay, any other corrections to the list?
If there are no other,
Commissioner Jordan?
Just to clarify, this is the appointment of commissioners to committees that we spoke about this morning, correct?
Yes, and at the top, yes, and at the top, it should state that it's the 2024 Board of County Commissioners Board and Committees appointments.
Thank you.
all right, with those two simple edits, I will move that we approve by-leave item number 7, which is a resolution in the matter of assignments to various boards and commissions for calendar year 2024 and the designation of alternate representatives.
Second.
If a motion is second, since this is actionable and we did not report it earlier, I will open this up for public testimony. So I am opening up public testimony for anyone wishing to speak to by-leave item number 7. Second call for anyone wishing to testify on by-leave item 7. Seeing no one in the audience or no one online, third and final call. I will close the open public testimony and call for the vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. That will then take us to an item that we did decide to move to miscellaneous this afternoon. Let me get to my agenda. So we were discussing earlier today and are continuing the discussion on the health board appointment. This is for an elected official that would be appointed to the health board by the Board of County Commissioners. So any other discussion since this morning? Okay. Seeing no further discussion, Commissioner Jordan?
Sure, I may have some discussion, but I just want to see if there's what the motion will be before making the comments.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that we appoint Councilmember Michael Cathcart to the 4th elected official position on the Health Board.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to appoint City Council Member Michael Cathcart to the Health Board appointment for the 4th elected position.
Yeah, just to make sure my motion is clear, because the current Health Board, the 3 elected officials that serve on is Commissioner CUNY, Commissioner Waldriff, and myself. So just to be clear, that 4th position is the one remaining, so we can have an equal number of elected officials to non-elected officials. So just want to make sure that was clear.
Correct. Commissioner Jordan.
Madam Chair, I'd actually like to move to amend the motion to appoint Spokane City Council President Betsy Wilkerson to the 4th elected official position for the Board of Health.
Second.
Okay, we have an amended motion to appoint Betsy Wilkerson to the 4th elected position on the Board of Health. Any further discussion? Commissioner Jordan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. As I mentioned this morning, this topic was brought up today in our briefing meeting for the first time, and it wasn't set on our legislative agenda in advance, as we typically have several weeks' notice to consider such decisions. Unfortunately, I do feel that we have a bit of a rushed process as a result of that, but I do agree with the premise that was stated by several other commissioners this morning, that we have had a small cities representative on the board, and it would be appropriate to invite the biggest city in our county, the city of Spokane, to serve on the health board. I did have a chance over the break to speak with Council President Wilkerson, and she did state that she is willing, interested, and able to serve on the health board if appointed by the commissioners. And I do believe she'd be an excellent candidate. As the board knows, she previously served on the health board. She's represented East Central neighborhood, which is one of our most historically underserved and racially diverse neighborhoods. I think she'd also be an appropriate pick because she was just elected to represent the entire city, which includes neighborhoods like West Central, East Central, and the northeast part of town. I think it's important that the health board continue to have an awareness about disparities and how those have impacted health outcomes. And I think it's significant that Betsy Wilkerson is the first African-American female city council president in the history of Spokane in the city. She's a business owner that serves folks with medical disabilities. She's a collaborative leader, and I think she'd be a great fit for the board. So I'd ask for consideration of appointing her.
Any further discussion? And so you did discuss with her the opportunity?
I did, and she said she would be willing to serve and is available to do so.
Okay.
I'm going to vote no on this motion. I think Councilmember Cathcart is a fine choice. He represents the most diverse and low-income district within the city. He actually has a track record of working across the aisle, and I think he will be a great addition and a way to keep politics off of the Health District Board, which we've done a great job at doing over the last 2 years.
Any further discussion? Commissioner Jordan.
I just wanted to say I respect Councilmember Cathcart, would look forward to working with him as the board if he was appointed. I just think that Councilmember Wilkerson would be a great choice as well, which is why I brought the motion.
Yes, I will say it'll be, I think both would be very good on the board. So it will be a tough decision to make that decision. As we talked earlier today, we could choose to have it go to the Valley, City of the Valley. We're choosing, I think at this point, to have it be the City of Spokane for a 2-year term as we look to, rotate in the future. So I don't know how I'll vote. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the move to amend to appoint Betsy Wilkerson to the 4th elected position, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Please say no.
Nay.
Nay.
I think I'm going to say nay. So that will take us back to the original motion to appoint Michael Cathcart to the Health Board for the 4th elected position. All those in favor? Any further discussion on that motion? Commissioner Jordan?
Just again, Madam Chair, I really wish that we would have had some additional time. I appreciate the need to get someone in there at least by early December because there are some important decisions coming up. I think it would have been typical to brief this 1 week and have it voted on another. disappointed that we did not pick Ms. Wilkerson, who is the newly elected city council president, but again, don't have a specific Michael Cathcart, so I will vote to appoint him.
Thank you. Yeah, no, as stated this morning, I mean, I will say any of us from the Board of Health could have thought through this as we had the discussion last week. We knew we were going to have to come up with some, I mean, we've known Mayor Freeman was not going to be seeking reappointment. He let us know that a couple of months ago. And so as we talked about where we're at, at the health board meeting as to the timing of applications and appointing, that's when it came to me that how quickly we were going to have to appoint somebody. I had reached out to Michael just ahead of this, asking, talking about his role since he's in the lowest income area of Spokane. When I talked to him at that time, I was just kind of throwing it out there as an opportunity or as just a discussion, not knowing we were going to have to make this decision so quickly. So I want to make sure that people understand that when just like any of us could have reached out to any other city council members across the county as we needed to figure this out. Again, I too feel we should have had more discussion on this, but the timing is such that I wanted to make sure we brought it up as soon as we could, as soon as I've thought about it. Again, other commissioners could have thought about the process as well, but this is on me to go. At least we're getting it done because I think we need to make sure we have this person so they can get up to speed on the health district, whether it's somebody who's been on the board before or someone not. I will take some of that it's last minute, but we are where we are, and so we do need to make a decision to appoint somebody to the board. And like I said, we discussed earlier, we could have gone with City of Spokane Valley because as we look at what the rotation used to be, it was small cities, it was the City of Spokane Valley and the City of Spokane that were represented on the health board. And I will again state, I would be much happier if we could go back to the way it used to be. I thought we had a good board when we had that situation, but we're in the situation we're in today because of the legislative change. So we are where we're at. So again, this is to appoint the health board appointment for the 4th elected position to go with the City of Spokane for a 2-year term and seeking Michael Cathcart. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes. Any opposed? I think you said, okay. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. And then I think then we will need to open this up to a public hearing. Shoot. Okay. Sorry, not thinking through. Yeah, strike that vote. So this is a public hearing item since we'll be making a vote, and it hasn't been previously put on the agenda. So anyone wishing to testify on that appointment to the health board? We have somebody coming down, and so we will make sure when you come down, if you will fill out a yellow form when we're done. Yes. So if you just please state your name and address for the record, and then you have 3 minutes.
I am Becky Dickerhoof. I live in the Eagle Ridge development in Spokane City. I'm very concerned because, yes, the health department the health board has had a very poor history in the past, and that's partly why this legislature passed what they did to try to correct some of those errors. And we in the county were disappointed when our own Spokane County commissioners were able to reinvent the board in a way that did not appear to be as transparent as we had hoped. I am concerned with the balance of the board that you have now created, because it does not seem to be balanced And this board in the past has had a lot of issues with transparency, and I think many of us are concerned that the lack of transparency will consider with a board made up as you've suggested. So I would oppose the idea of Mr. Cathcart and would prefer to have Ms. Wilkerson, just to make sure the board continues on a road of transparency, because we were all very disappointed at what happened over the past couple of years. Thank you.
Thank you. Second call for anyone wishing to testify. Is there anyone online? Susie, you're going to come down. Very good.
Susie Hokinson, and you're hearing from me a second time. I don't live in the city, but I really like Michael. We're good friends, but I think this is a real opportunity to make sure we have a better balance. And I think a black woman would be a real impressive and important decision here. Yes, for all the obvious reasons. It's being rushed. It does need to be done, but I think it's an important decision that all 5 of you need to make. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Jordan, we're still in public testimony at this point in time. I haven't.
Sorry.
That's okay. You can't see, so we have somebody else who's wanting to come down to the microphone.
Good afternoon. My name is Mary Ann Murphy, and I'm a retired healthcare administrator. I was the founding director of Partners with Families and Children. And so, of course, I have been very involved in the public health issues of Spokane for decades. And I have seen the health board be a problem rather than a help to advancing what is the very best care that we could be providing in our community. And so I think this is a very important decision. I've been sitting here, I assume it's already been made, but for what it's worth, I would like to also speak for Betsy Wilkerson, because she is, in fact, an administrator of a mental health facility. So she has that wonderful experience to bring to bear for this. I also very much respect Mr. Cathcart, appreciate his point of view on the city council, and but I think when we talk about this area, it's important to have had really deep personal and professional experience. So I would speak for Betsy Wilkerson also, and I would hope you could vote again.
Thank you. So I will state for the record that with the new state law, that we will have 3 people that represent the different groups that the legislature has put before us, so that way the personal experience is there for the different areas that the state legislature has done. And then it has been a pleasure. I served with Betsy on the health board before, so I think we were transparent. There just was maybe a couple of decisions that people didn't necessarily like, of which Betsy was on the board with us at that time. So, Commissioner Waldrop.
Madam Chair, I appreciate that we had some folks give us some insight that were here today. They happen to be here, but I am sensitive that this wasn't noticed and other folks were not able to give their input into this decision prior to today. So I'd like to make a motion to amend the motion on the floor to defer this decision till our first meeting in January, so we can properly notice and receive comment on the decision. So.
Second.
Commissioner Jordan. Okay, I have a motion and a second to move to defer until January. What's the date?
It would be Tuesday, January 9th is our first meeting of the new year, 2024.
Okay, I have an amendment to the motion to move to defer till January 9th. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the amendment to the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Nay. With that, so the motion does not pass. So with that, then, we will take it back to the original motion, which is to appoint Michael Cathcart as the fourth elected to the Health Board. All those in favor, any further discussion?
Madam Chair, I'm going to vote against the motion, not because it's Mr. Cathcart or if it was Ms. Wilkerson. Again, I think it would, since this is an important appointment, and after hearing from the members of the public that made some good points about process, I'm voting no because I think we should have noticed this and had opportunity for more community members to give input. So that's why I'm voting no.
Okay. Commissioner Jordan?
I just want to second Commissioner Waldron's comments and that my vote is not a reflection on Mr. Cathcart. It would be about the process.
Okay, well, hopefully next year we will, or in 2 years, we will have a process that we can go back to and we can document in advance with the rotation and with how the appointment of that elected. Again, the RCW just states that it is the Board of County Commissioners that make the appointment. So with that, all those in favor of appointing Michael Cathcart as the fourth elected to the Health Board, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Those opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, motion carries 3-2. Concludes what we have today, I guess, or no, it does not conclude. Mr. Simmons, it's been a long day already.
I have nothing further for the board.
Nothing from legal either.
Was there not one more executive session? I thought there was one more.
Believe we covered the ones I had for the board this morning.
Okay. For some reason, I was thinking there was one more. Okay, with that, I will conclude our meeting, and everybody have a happy holiday. Enjoy the break, and we will see everybody back here in January. January 9th will be the next Tuesday, 2 o'clock meeting. So thank you all very much.